groups. But part of that role is to get as many community organisations together to form a local network, which we can then tackle more issues as a whole as opposed to one. Because I think we all know that when you approach, the government, if you like, the funding bodies, whoever it may be, that we need to approach out there, it's far more difficult as an individual, as a group on your own. But if you have a network and you're all approaching the same areas, it is far more easier to get through and to get the answers you need. So that's another area that I'm working on at the moment. Conferences and training ongoing. Conference is very, very important, I think, for local groups. It's really essential if they can attend some of those conferences. Because not only do you get to learn about other organisations and social enterprises in your area, you also get to know about who the big buds are, because they've got to be there. Funders who you can approach, and they're very, very helpful. Information, I believe, is key to open any door, and by accessing these kind of things, you're able to do that and be more aware of your surroundings, what is needed and what we can do. And I think we're going to end it there, and I hope that was helpful.
So you talk about business,
yeah.
But is it, am I understanding correctly that you have an idea and you put forward that idea to yourselves or
you can come to
a social enterprise organisation?
That's right.
It does sound very, very full-time to have an idea and to do that idea. How are you then as an individual supported?
As an individual, I come to you, or you can come to me for a starting new idea. I will look at your idea, I will spend the time, it's my role to spend the time with you, look at your idea, look how feasible it is, look into the areas that you need to be developed, right? Hence the training program. If you need training in certain areas and so forth, I will help to provide those training for you. If those trainings aren't available, then I will seek that training and make sure that's in line for yourself or for an organisation. Your structure, your legal structure, which is very crucial, I will sit and I will go through that with you. I will help you to develop the whole spectrum from your idea right down to the moment you get funding. So you wouldn't just come to me with an idea and I would say, oh yeah, brilliant, and I'll say, okay, you've got to go off and do this and do that. I would actually work with you. A couple of the groups I've just finished working with. One is Recycling Action Group in Marshall. They had a brilliant idea for a nappy recycling business. Now, I've sat with them from the beginning of the idea, right through doing a business plan, doing their financial forecasts, doing their milestones. There's so much work that goes on. I spent a total of literally 3 months, literally continuous, at least twice a week, either on the phone, by email, or physically sitting together with them and go through all that spectrum. Completed that, helped them fill in their application for funding, and that's now sitting with the fund, and hopefully they would have received that funding in the next few months or so. So I'm very, very positive, and that is my role from the beginning of your idea. From the moment you come to me, I will be there with you continuously. So any problem you come across and you can't resolve it, I will be there to help you clarify that.
So that's sort of practical support on your side, but what economics?
Yeah.
How would I support myself as an individual?
As an individual, economically, as an individual, you wouldn't be able to do so.
So
because it is
have the time to be able to
do. You can do this part-time. It does not have to be a full-time, because many of the people I work with actually work full-time, and they can only dedicate their time to these ideas in the evenings, maybe weekends, which is why my hours are very flexible, so I can, as I'm here today, I can do evenings, weekend, whenever time is convenient for you. Social enterprises is literally a group of people investing in the community, providing a service or a business, whatever it may be, and channeling all that profit back into it to develop. Eventually, you will be able to earn from it, but originally you will not be able to do so because as volunteers, because that's what you would class as to begin with, you would not be able to access payment through that avenue. But later on down the line, You know, if you're part of the management committee, once you're off the committee, then you can then apply for the job. Obviously, your jobs, when they're created, will have to be tendered out. So you would have to go through the same process as anybody else to apply for the position, even though you may be overqualified. You know, but there is a process that you have to follow. You know, and I think most people who goes into it is the fact that there is a lack of some form of service, so there's a gap that needs to be filled, and because you're in a community, you know what that is. You know, you come together and you develop that, and you know. And there's also a lot of emphasis now with the local council and social service and all that. There's a lot of services that needs to be developed, and they're actually looking to do through the community groups and organisations to develop those services, because while they've got the money for the care to be put in place, the carers to be able to buy their own care, and that's only one example. They haven't got the services, right? They're very, very limited. So now they are emphasising in the community groups and organisations to develop your ideas as quickly as you can, because the business is there, the services are not, and this is why the emphasis on social enterprises in particular is quite strong at the moment. There's a lot of support, you know, both financially, with training and other support from the various statutory bodies that are out there. Is that okay? Any more questions?
Any more questions for Julia? Is there anybody who's thinking of setting up a social enterprise business?
Even if you don't know, because quite often people don't realise that their ideas are social enterprises. They just think, well, I've got a brilliant idea, but they don't know. Like myself, you know, I run a women's organisation as well in Marsh Farm, and although we're not going into the social enterprise area at the moment, there's many, many ideas that we've got which are social enterprises, and which eventually we're hoping to link with other people, other organisations to develop those areas. But at the moment, we're just focusing on training, education, and cultural awareness. You know, because the purpose of the group is to enlighten our young generation about our history in a positive way, not in a negative way that we've been, you know, been taught about for so many years. We need them to know the positiveness of it and how they can develop themselves from there. You know, and it all comes together eventually, but there's just so much, and the people come to me with an idea and they think, oh, this is just a service. You know, but when we sit down and go through it, fine-tooth comb, and realise, like, no, this is actually a business. There is a need for this out there, and this can be developed into a business. You know, so feel free. If you've got an idea and you don't know whether it's just a service or if it's going to be a business, you know, come and see me. I've got some business cards up here and some information, and also got attraction routes and newsletter. Feel free, just give me a ring anytime and come and sit with me, or I can come out to you and we can talk about it and see, you know, where it can go from there. But no matter how tiny the idea is, you'd be amazed what it can be.
Is it also a possibility that I might be sitting here thinking that I would like a particular service that I'm not aware of, that I could possibly come to you and say, I feel a need for this, or I would like this. Is it going on anywhere in my community, or are there other like-minded people?
Certainly, because I've got a link with other organisations out there, then I would know. We've also got database and all the various organisations and services they provide. You know, so if you had an idea and you wasn't sure, I could look that up to find out if it does exist, and if it doesn't exist, if you wanted to develop that, then I could do so. I can help you to do that. Sorry, you were going to have your hand up. You were going to ask a question? Or was it just stretching?
Was it too?
Yeah, you did. I think you probably was just stretching.
She was just stretching.
Okay, so any other question?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Juliet. Thanks for that. Well, thank you, Juliet, for that. Also, can I just tell you as well that we've got HSBC Bank out in the foyer, the manager there, who's discussing business initiatives as well. So his advice could be quite valuable to anybody thinking of starting up a business. Okay, so make use of that while it's here today. Next we've got Chrissy, who's going to talk to us about her business. Good afternoon, everyone.
Chrissy Recreates, it's the name of the business, started off with this hat. I was diagnosed with diabetes in 1992, and I was off sick. I was then living in London, went to Shepherd's Bush Market, and I wanted a hat for church the following Sunday. I saw this hat, which was an ordinary brimmed hat, but it was falling apart. So the lady said she will sell it to me cheap if I will buy it. So I'm always there for a bargain. So I said, why not? So I bought the hat. She said to me, when you go home, all you do is just sew the brim back on and it'll be okay. So fine. But what I did when I went home the Saturday, I took it completely apart. And then I was just wearing the centerpiece, the crown. That went on for a few weeks. Then the third week I decided I'm going to put it back together again. Put it back together, it looked ordinary. So I thought, okay, let's play with it. I twisted it that way and twisted it the other way, and by the time I finished, one side was looking like Robin Hood, the other side was looking like a sailor's hat, and I thought, cha, that's it. I'm going to wear it just like that. So I went to church the Sunday morning with it, and everybody went, ooh. Everybody went, ooh, where did you buy your hat? So I said, I didn't buy it like this. I said, where did you buy the hat? I said, I didn't buy it like this. She said, where you buy that? So I said, I didn't buy it like that. I did this last night. So I said, if you don't believe me, ask my sister. So they called my sister and they said to her, where Chris buy this hat? So she said, something she threw together last night. So they said, well, if you can do this, you can do hats. That inspired me to go home that Sunday afternoon. Every single hat that I had, I recreated it. Every Sunday I was coming with a new creation, until the brethren started giving me their old hats to recreate. Hence the name of the business, Chrissy Recreates. That's my starting point. Now I've been doing this for a while, until one year I noticed that there was 11 people in church wearing my hats, and I still had no idea what I was doing. So I went down to the West End where I used to buy some trimmings, and this lady said to me, do you go to college? I said, no. I said, I can't afford to pay for the hats, to make the hats, because at the time it was very expensive. She said, you may not have to pay. So what you should do is go and see if any of your local colleges has the course on millinery. So I went home, I looked in the yellow pages, and just across the road from me, the Kensington and Chelsea College was doing the hats courses. So I applied, I brought in some of what I did, and I got in. I just had to pay the registration fee, and I got in. I did 4 years, got my City and Guilds. I did a couple work experience with some of the top milliners in London. And one of the famous milliner, Ziggy, was judging our work, or the last year of our work. And I did some cocktail hats. And he was one of the judge. And he kept on coming over and taking the hat and feeling the shape, feeling it, feeling. So I said, why is he doing this? Just feeling away the shape. Then my tutor said, because he likes the hat, he's feeling it, so he could make it for the catwalk. Oh. And that's what he did. And because I was a student, I didn't get anything for it, but because it's very difficult to, what would you call it? To register the hats.
To register your design.
Yeah, it's very difficult because hats on the whole, the shapes are all basically the same. It's the trimming that makes the hat. So you can go to the shop and you'll see this shape, but it will not be trimmed like this. And I was taught to make model millinery, which is one-offs. So if you come to me and you ask me to make a hat, you will never go anywhere else and see the exact same hat. And because I'm a woman and I like to think I am special, I put whatever I feel into the hat. So if I make a hat for you, it's just for you. Then you become special. No, you will never go down the road and see somebody else in that same hat. It's like if you bought an outfit. You really love the outfit. You wouldn't like to know you end up at a venue and 2, 3, 4 people wearing the same outfit that you're in. Mind you, it could be in different colors, but still, you don't feel that special feeling that you would if it's just you. So when I do a hat for you, I put that individuality into it so that you're. Now this little hat here, I'll put it on for you. Okay? If you ask me to make you this hat, nobody else will have this hat. No matter how many people in the room likes this hat, it will only fit one person. And I take your personality and I put in the hat and make it you. I also do accessories. I accessorize the hat to go with your shoes. So I will exercise your shoes to go with the hat, your bag to go with the hat or the shoes or the 3. So instead of you having an outfit with the bag to match or the shoes to match, you can have the 3 pieces to match your outfit. Thereby, you look unique. And I know everybody in here would like to feel special. There's nobody who's going to say, well, I'm a woman. No, you're a special woman. And so when you dress like a special woman for the special event that you will be attending. Now going back into history, black people on the whole, from your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, started wearing hats. This is our culture. This is us. And we do not feel dressed unless we have a hat and a handbag. The young people that are coming up in this modern day, they're not really into hats. I belong to a church where we wear hats, and the young people try to get out of hats. So this is theirs. They wear a little skull cap, and they feel they have a hat. Okay, but you can do many things with a skull cap. You can put it onto the side. You can do lots of things with it. But because when they do their hairstyle, some of them hairstyle lasts 3 months, and they don't want to mess it up. So they take this thing, and the hat could be all the way down here, so. And they tell you they're wearing a hat. And you can't tell them no, right? But where they should wear it, that's where the hairstyle is. Okay? So I have been doing this as a hobby for 10 years. Last year, I took it on as an official business. I'm not there yet. I'm still struggling because in this day and age, people don't have money. And whatever they have, they try to hold on to it. But they still want to look nice. So if I can give it to them for nothing, they will be very happy. But what they must understand is it costs to make. Because I make them from scratch. The mold to make them, I use wooden molds to make them, just for this brim alone. That's £100. To buy the crown, because it's a two-piece, to buy the crown is about £50. And the trimmings in them, they're not cheap. And the people that I make hats for always want something glitter. And they're not cheap. So it costs to make them. And I try to be reasonable. Like I said, whenever I do a hat, I always think about how much I would pay for it. I understand that things are not easy and we do struggle. So I try to incorporate that in my pricing. I could get more for it, but means that I'll be having to venture out into the high society lot. So I'm not there yet. I'm still dealing with my own and trying to give the service that I would have liked to them. And so if ever you need a hat for whatever function, now I do ascots. This hat, I did the Easter parade in April with the mayor. And this hat was on the front page of the Luton News with another hat my two daughters were wearing. This hat went to Ascot. And I called the Luton newspaper because they didn't have my name onto it. They thought I was one of Barnfield's students. And they told me that they had many calls for this hat, but they didn't have a name or a number to put to it. So I gave it to them, but I haven't heard anything from them. But I do make ascots. I do for weddings. I do for graduations, christenings, church functions. You name it, I do it. I also do the basic street hats. Like now you'd be wearing the woolly hats, the fur hats. I think I do them too. I also make the felt hats. Unfortunately, I thought I had some to bring, but they're all sold. And one good thing about my hats is when I make them and I put them on display to sell, I don't come home with them. If I wear a hat and I go out, I come home bareheaded with the sole of my head. So for that, I am very happy about, because if it was not any good, somebody else wouldn't want it. And because it is sold straight off my head, nobody else can come and ask me to make them one. But this is me. This is me. I love dainty things. I love attention. And because I love attention, I make things that will turn heads and give me the attention that I want. You may not be one for attention, and you may try to hide, but if I make you a hat, somebody will come and ask you, where did you get it from? I will bring you out from yourself. Okay? My children used to be my model, and some of my church sisters. This hat here was made about 12 years ago. And I used to call it the ice cream cone. I've made hats that you call the butterflies because it's got two pieces that look like wings. I don't have them because sometimes I don't get to take the pictures in time before they are snapped up. This is one of my daughters. That hat's gone. One of my church sisters, that hat's gone. This particular hat, it's similar to this one, but it's covered in diamantes. I had to make it in red, black, white, black and white, because everybody liked the shape of the hat. But I did explain to them that this particular hat, that's this hat. Your hat may not have all of the diamantes here, but when I finish with your hat, you will be pleased with it. It will not be exactly like, so if you ever see a picture of a hat, don't ask me to make you the exact same hat. I cannot do it. I have tried. Because I was trained to do model millinery, every hat is different. So this particular hat, on a Sunday, I have about 5 sisters wearing this particular shape in 5 different colors and 5 different trimmings. And everybody's glittering. The light is just hitting and everybody's just flashing. You don't think, say, photographers will say, you know, because they love, they're American, they like to follow the Americans. Because the Americans love bling bling. Yeah? They love their bling blings. So, that one. This one, I did a fashion show in a church in London. And I just twisted this hat and stuck a feather on it. There is nothing to the hat, there's no middle. It's just a piece of thing that I just drapes around and put a bit of feather on it. And I was asked to make one to be made for somebody, you know. And it was not meant to be for wearing, it was just for the thing. I have got a fashion show coming up sometime next year. I'm not quite sure the date yet. And I'm trying to incorporate it with clothing and jewelry. Because we women, we love, no matter how simple our jewelry may be, but we love to have a little something to give us that little something. So I'm going to try and see what I can do to complement the hat that the models will be wearing. At the moment, I make women's hats. I've been bombarded with questions. Why don't I make men's hats? So I promise that I will try my best to make men's hats. These little cocktail hats, if you don't really want to wear those big brim hats, you can just, they're on a slide, you just slide them into your head. This one's on the other side, this is a little one. You just slide them on, and it just makes you. You don't need a big elaborate hat. There's some people, if they're going to wear a hat, it's got to be big. Now you have to be careful where you're going, who's sitting behind you. They would like to see whatever is going on at the front, so you have to be careful what you wear. I love this little one. Okay. Don't it make a difference?
You made them all for you because it was so
no, there are some people who, no matter what they put on, it will fit them. There are some people you have to work with the face.
True.
Some hats make their face look bigger, some drown them. I am one of the fortunate ones that when I put a hat on, I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah, so that's me. That's Chrissy Recreates. If you'd like me to make you a hat, there are cards here. You can call me It takes 3 weeks for a hat. And if you place a hat, a deposit is required. And I will try my best, if you have an outfit, try my best to make the hat to the outfit. So if you have spare fabrics that you want the hats to be trimmed with, or you want the bag to be trimmed with, or the shoes, come see me. Okay? Thank you very much for your time.
Do you also do accessories like bags?
Not yet. I'm in the process of doing a course on making handbags, because I believe that this comes with not just hats. It comes with bags. It comes with shoes. It comes with belts. So whatever I can get to learn to do to boost it to a common, yes, that is what I am going to try to do. So at the moment, it's just hats. And if you have a bag, or you buy a plain, whether it's black or white, shoes or bag, then I will trim it to the hat and to the outfit. Any questions for Christine?
Yeah, I'll have that little white one.
Which one, the very little one?
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
This little one?
Yes, I'd like to see if it suits me.
You know, I just asked Juliet, I was trying to, a couple of months ago, see whether or not Chrissy's business would fit into a social enterprise business.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Because I work
discuss
for
it.
myself, I work at home, I don't have no funding, I don't have no backup. Everything I do is on my own back. Like I said, at the moment, it's a bit difficult. I'm not there yet, where I should be. After doing them for 10 years, I would have expected myself to be at a level.
Yeah.
But because I've been doing it for myself, funding myself, it's a little bit...
It's very difficult.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure there are areas in there that we might be able to squeeze into the social enterprise area, which we'll be able to get funding for. Especially talking about the accessorising of the bags and the shoes and stuff.
Yeah.
You could actually look at that as a separate venture and add to that,
Because
which
I
we could
also
look at
wanted
developing.
to see if I could hold a little training course for the people who are interested
Excellent.
in basic trimming.
Now, part of social enterprise is... Sorry. Did you?
Yeah, I'm just about to ask that question.
Yeah. If you can provide some form of training in what you're doing, and even if it's one person you can employ,
I'm here.
that qualifies you.
Interested in doing that.
Now that actually qualifies you as a social enterprise, because you're providing a training to other people so they can actually develop themselves, and you're also in a position to employ somebody. So definitely,
Yeah.
we could definitely sit
Sometimes
down.
I do need staff.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
when I do get
Even if it's someone that's doing research for you, that's still an additional service you're providing there. Because there are many pocket areas that actually fits into a social enterprise.
Mhm.
So, you know, by all means, I'd be happy to sit with you and look at how we can
Okay.
develop
Very
that.
much.
Okay. What you doing?
Any more questions?
Well, I was going to ask about the fashion show, which you had mentioned anyway. I was going to say, have you ever done one?
Yes.
In the process of doing one. But you did say they...
Yes, I've done one in
you-
London, and this present church that I'm in since I've moved up here,
Yeah.
I'm going to do one. Do you know the Calvary Church of God in
Yes.
Murray Park?
Yeah.
That's the church I go to.
Yeah.
And 4 times a year, I am there selling at their conventions.
Oh, right.
So if I'm not actually there myself, my daughters, they're there, but that's my selling venues. I don't have no outside people to say that I'm selling. So this is where I make my daily bread.
Oh,
So when's the next one? When would be the next one? When would be the opportunity that, aside from coming to you separately, that we could go and sort of view? Because at the end of the day, I like a hat. I don't know whether I can wear a hat, but I like to see a nice hat.
Come and see me and you will know if you
You sometimes think, well, I would need an idea I would need somebody to say to me,
This suits you.
Yeah. I couldn't just go and pick a hat off a stand and put it on my head.
No, because you see, most hats that are made at a standard fitting, which is a 22.5 head size. But some of the clients, there are 22, which their heads are a bit smaller. Some are bigger, 23, 25. So then they need that extra thing, because if you try and fit a standard hat on your head and your head is big, you will find that the hat is just sitting on top. Also, if I am able to get to do the training, I will teach you how to wear a hat. Because most people will take a hat and they will plonk it on their head. You don't wear a hat like that. When you buy a hat, you're a woman. When you buy a hat, you have to know how to wear it. And you do not get that service on a commercial base. If you go to Debenhams, Dickens and Jones, wherever, to buy a hat, you do not get how to wear it. So you will go, and I have seen many of my elderly mothers come to church, and they have the hat, and they're going, and I'm saying, could only, and sometimes, because I can be very bold, sometimes I go, sweetheart, this doesn't suit me. It suits you, but it's too small for you. Turn around and show them. See? It's because her head fitting, because of her hair, right? This is a standard 22.5. You will be a 23, 25. So this will not sit on your head. It will just, like a top hat, you know? Just think. But if you come see me, I'll sort you out. I like wearing hats. Some people I love that. And if you come to me, by the time you leave me, if you don't leave with a couple of hats, you leave me with a couple of orders, and you will be scaling and coming. If you go to church, you'll be bopping. And I'm going to fix all them young people. You'll be bopping. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. That was quite inspiring, wasn't it?
Yes.
And it just goes to show, I mean, she started off with a hobby, and it's grown, and you can see an end product, with a lot of work gone into it. And the hats are excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, you see those in the stores.
I love them.
Yeah. And to know that you can have this, where you're personally fitted with it, and you've got all that personal attention. Please, everybody, do take a class.
I've got one.
I'm holding on to it. I'm quite interested in the fashion show, because it's nice to know that you can have the whole complete outfit and design.
I was to do it last month, but because of commitment I wasn't able. So I'm going to try and see what is available time-wise at my church the early part of next year.
And will it be at your church?
Yes.
Okay. That's nice to know. If by any chance it should fall into October as like history month. That's the part down. I mean,
She said the early part.
we can.
No, the reason why I said the early part, because we were given, those who are familiar with the Bible, we were given talents, and we have to work on it.
Oh.
And so my talent time finishes the better part of next year, the early part. So then, if it's a success, then I may then do it for October, Black History Month. Okay?
be nice to have some sort of feature into the month. I mean, I think we're all quite excited and interested in what you said.
Sorry. I'm just interested in the idea of the fashion show. And I was thinking, is it not possible for you to find somebody locally? I mean, our people are talented, like yourself. You know, most of us don't even know what's happening in our community. To actually collaborate with somebody else who actually does fashion. So that's taking care. So you have
be perfect.
You know, I'll take your card now. I'll have a chat with you.
That would be perfect, because I did suggest to one of my church sisters that, you know, she makes clothes, but she's on the shy side. Oh, I don't think I'll be able to make. But, you know, if whoever is willing to help me, just to say that it's a fundraising thing, that's why it's the talent. And you may not be able to sell anything on that night, but it will give you the window.
It's about marketing, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not about actually selling anything.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I also forgot. I make hat pins, hat boxes, ring cushions. But I forget now. My children are going to kill me. Ring cushion if you're getting married and to have ribbons. Yeah. I mean, and I also make it for your bed. I've never tried to make it for sticking pajamas in, but I'm open. You know, I'll try anything once.
Can I ask you a quick question? And fashion show. As I said, I run a women's organisation as well. And we're actually doing a cultural fashion show next year.
Okay.
And it'd be really interesting to someone to be able to do the headgear according to different traditions.
Yeah.
And that is something you'd be interested in.
Yes.
Brilliant.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow, sorry. Tomorrow we have our Black History Month at church, tomorrow night. We have 21 different denominations in our church, and we're all going to come with our costumes and our national food and things.
That's it.
And little history on our own countries and so forth. So,
That's brilliant.
What time is that?
tomorrow, I think it's 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, 6 till 8 or 8:30.
Do you think they'd be interested in performing for us? Because that's exactly what we're doing next year. It's from different parts of the islands, Africa. We're focusing on all the different continents, fashion, the whole gear, and a little history about each individual and how they get to be where they are now.
Yeah.
And that's what networking is about. I mean, this event alone has provided quite a few ideas. And it's important that we do keep links, and talk to each other. And at events like this, where perhaps it's published in the brochure, but the attendants or the people that actually pick up on the fact that it's there, you know, and don't come out to it, it's important that we do make an effort at times like this. So, and it does produce good ideas and good work. I mean, from today alone, we've got a lot of ideas, and you too might have ideas in your head, and you're thinking, well, I wouldn't mind doing this, and you don't know how to go about it. Juliet is the perfect example to go to and have a word with, and to explore your ideas, yeah, and just take it from there. And usually they start off very small, and it's usually an interest of yours, isn't it? It's usually something that you're interested in doing yourself, and you get the feel because people appreciate what you've done, and they like what you're doing. So, you know, you get the feel to do more of, which is basically what you've done, isn't it? So, it's a good forum for discussion. And on that note, I'll hand you over to Rose.
Well, the next part, we were going to break up into workshops if we had enough people, but I think as we are, we can actually stay as one group. And these are some, now we're going to sort of look at issues within the community, within the black community, that we as women possibly need to get to grips with and sort it out ourselves. So what we've got for discussion is the needs of the black community, and what we need to try and do is to identify what are the needs within the black community in Luton. And as women, is it our role to meet those needs? Is it the local authorities' role to meet the needs? Is it the men's role to meet the needs? And the way forward, basically, because within our community, I'm sure we're all aware that there are a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues with our young people. There are a lot of issues around things like facilities for young people, facilities for older people. And it's what do we do in order to provide some of the services that are so desperately needed for the African and Caribbean community. So now we've talked about the business bit, let's look at the social aspect and how we're going to solve some of these problems. And I'm glad we've got lots of young people here, because I really would like them to take the lead on this, because it would be nice to hear from them. What is it that we as the older community, and I would say not too old like, but what is it that we should have done or should be doing that we're not doing?
There's the young people. How can I help you? Without you insulting me, because it's true. I see them doing something and I think I want to say don't. But I'm just scared and don't want to approach it because I'm afraid they might say something to me that I wouldn't like. And I do see them in the street and I do, think, no, don't do that. But timid, because I do not want you all to be rude to me. And that's my part of it. Anyway,
so is it a case that, because when we were smaller, like when I was younger, if I was doing something,
you would be told.
I would be told, but
by anyone.
Yes.
And
now are we losing grip with our culture and the way we're bringing up our children?
Definitely.
If we as the older ones are afraid to say to a young person who's doing something wrong, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, we have.
We
We have lost our culture and our way of life a long time ago. My generation, we were brought up with that knowledge that was instilled us in respect, manners, and like you say, if I was doing something wrong, somebody would be telling me off, and believe you me, I'd get hiding when I get home. We've lost that, and a lot of other things, because like you say, I'm sorry, I don't know your name over here. Margaret.
Yes.
Like you say, we walk by when we see incidents because we are afraid of the youngsters. We're afraid to open our mouth. Unfortunately, I'm not. And I have had loads of abuse from men, but I won't walk past. Yes, I do, but I will not walk past when I see youngsters misbehaving or really hurting each other. I will intervene. And yeah, I know it's because of the society as it is today, while we step aside because we think, oh my God, they might have gone there now, or whatever else, But I think if a lot of us start thinking that way and start approaching the youngsters, on a positive note, when we see them doing that, they will acknowledge. Because when I first approached about 5-6 kids fighting, when I first approached them, I never for one moment thought of the danger I might put myself in.
I was going to say, this is
I didn't. Yeah. But when I did, they actually stopped and responded to me. And I thought, well, and like you, I've always thought, well, God, stay away from it. My kids always say to me, Mum, don't get involved, because you don't know what these kids are like out there. But from the day I did that, I haven't stopped. And yes, I do get the kids will hurl abuse at me and that, but I wanted it to stop me, because if we all take that attitude and say, I'm not going to get involved, I'm not going to say anything, because, it will get worse and worse and worse and worse. So we need to either form some kind of committee or some kind of strong whole, but we can tackle issues like that, in particular in our own community, in our own black community. Let's not be afraid to say the word. We've got big problems, serious problems within our community, because the lack of culture, lack of awareness, lack of who we are, because our youngsters are not behaving like black youngsters. They are westernized in every way you can think of, and because we haven't maintained the teaching we were brought up with We haven't passed that on to our children. A lot of us haven't.
Oh, I have.
Right? Yes.
And
like
when I
yourself
say
and
that, I
myself,
mean,
you know.
None of my grandchildren
Yeah.
cannot listen to me. It's just not on.
Yes. You see, because
And even my friends' children, it's other people that I know them, but
Yeah.
it's not friends,
Yeah.
it's not family. It's,
it is peer pressure, yes. A lot of that.
that's right, you know. Go ahead.
I agree with Julia in so far as actually the elders of the community being able to get together, because I know that the fear only comes from me in talking to another child when I fear that their parents might not support me in what I'm saying to them.
And the law.
So if I were going to reprimand or to say to a child, you know, you really shouldn't be doing that, I would fear that I'd get reprisals from their parents who will side with the child and say, well, who are you to tell my child what to do? And so I feel that we can only teach the children if we ourselves actually join together and say, these are the standards that we want for our children. And as a group, as a society, as a culture of people, we're going to support one another in maintaining those standards.
I think the other reason also being that the children themselves know that the law is for them, right or wrong.
Yes.
And they use it against us.
Yes, they do.
So when we come and try to help them to get onto the right path, they abuse us and also report us.
Yes.
That we end up getting into trouble for just trying to do a community
The law
service.
listens to them more than us.
Yes.
And that is a fear on its own.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think getting together as a group and deciding how best we can support our children, because I know that as a person, if I want to feel encouraged to do something, I want to do something positive.
That's right.
So as a youngster, if somebody were to come to me in a very harsh and negative way, I might not be inclined to listen to them either.
I think the approach is positiveness, even if they are doing something really wrong.
You
need to approach them
in a
positively
positive way and show them what the positive of changing their behaviour or their actions might be.
You respond to them as you would respond to your own child. You know?
But some people don't respond to their own children.
Well, it's true. That's
what I'm saying. That's the getting together
It's quite
actually
true.
as a community and deciding how best.
Another thing too, I think, is calmness.
Yeah.
We older people shouts.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
And I
Thank you. We need to recognise
no,
that
and these are
approach
things
is
we
not
have to
always right.
recognize, and we have to say them because it's there.
Yes.
You know, and it's so nicely. I learned this from my children, by the way.
Yes.
I not from an older person, for they're just as bad as me. Why are you doing that for? This is what's
It's true because they copy us, don't they?
Yes.
In certain things.
But my children, who have children, have never spoken to their children that way.
No, because they've learned from us.
They learned
It's the
from
same with
that.
my children. They haven't.
Now, darling, please, sit there. What did I tell you? You are not to touch them. This is my
We need to
daughter
really,
saying that to her child.
Yeah.
And the child listened and she didn't shout.
Yes. You see,
I would have been shouting. You know, ask her. This is my granddaughter. And she grew up the old-fashioned way. So she's good. Otherwise I'll start good. You know, but it's calmness is good.
Can I just say, I mean, for me, what I think is important is breaking the cycle. And also the input into our children. I feel that it's very important that we have, because the very music they listen to, what they see, it's very negative and glamorized. You know, and they kind of say, well, I need, as a young person, to relate to something that is glamorized. But I feel as a community, what you input into your child from a very young age, if you have positiveness and you impart positivity into your child, you will get that. It's the mindset. You change the mind of your child. And I feel that as a community, we have got to fight. There's so much to fight against, how they dress, how they walk, how they talk. Yes, and they use that. As far as I'm concerned, it's all negativeness. They are not being a real individual as somebody says they don't know who they are. And I'm dying to go over to the men's seminar because I feel that they really do have an important role. What we're having is single mothers, you know, who are, it was said, I read an article that the social workers were taking the father figure. You know, I think these women are wonderful women because they both have to be fathers and mothers. But if we can get our men to be men and not masquerading as boys in men's masks, I'm not, you know, being horrible here, then you will find that our children, they will have a balance. You know? Sorry, that's
all right. Can I just say something? This is why I started, myself and a colleague started Nubian Women's Development Initiative, because that was one of the biggest problems. I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother, and I found that the youngsters around, it's got no direction, like you say. They follow fashion, what's going on out there, and there is nothing positive about ourselves to reflect that to them, for them to pick up on that and say, I want to be like that. Educating ourselves as parents, older generation, in the way we teach our children, in the way we talk to our children, in the way we discipline our children, is very, very, very crucial. If we can't look inwards and put that right, we're not going to be able to put our children right. And those were the focus area for the group, is to start re-educating. And when I say that, people think it's, oh, I'm educated, but that's not what I mean. I mean about yourself as a black person, your cultural needs, your children needs. Right, you start looking to that area, develop yourself. You can then project that positiveness towards your children. You can then show them the positiveness of being a black person. And all our life we hear the negativityness about ourselves. We don't hear the positiveness of where we've come from, what we've achieved through all the hardship we've been through. We don't hear the positiveness, we don't see it.
Yeah, it's like everything else.
Sorry, Chrissy is a prime example of positiveness, hardship. You've come here and you've done this. That's what we need our youngsters to be focusing on, seeing these things, not seeing the Americanized way, you know, or the westernized way, but the black way of life. And I think it's a hard road, lots of work to do, but we need to, as women and as black men in this community, we need to start sitting together and look at those areas and start working out a way forward for our children, because otherwise they'll be lost.
Yeah. But there's good children out there.
Oh yeah,
it's just no one pick up on those.
No, they never do.
And good children. It's somebody who kick a ball and break a window.
Yes.
It's blown out of proportion, and that person will become the media, and they are the worst person in the world. But there's lots and lots of good black children out there that do lots and lots of positive things and have a life and want a life, a good adult life when they become adults.
One of the things that's been said, I know our young people, they get a hard time from the police, or at the moment they are going through a really rough time with the police. And one of the things being said is that whereas the Asian young people, who are no better than our young people, I must point out, have got community leaders who defend them. Do you think that as a black community we're lacking a community leader? Are we lacking leadership? Somebody who can represent us, speak on our behalf, not only to the police but also to politicians and so forth. At the moment we don't seem to have anyone who can represent us and put forward our views. So we think that's something that we need. Yeah. So we definitely need leadership.
Could I just say something to what you said? I mean, I totally agree with you that we don't have leadership. But I think the problem arises because we are very divisive amongst ourselves. We are very divisive. I have to say that, you know, we're here. It's like you are from there, you are from here, and so on and so forth. We need to have what my husband and I call a consciousness as a people. It doesn't matter where you come from. When I walk down the street and I see a black person coming, I don't care where it comes from. That's my brother, that's my sister. I don't want to have anything to fear that, you know, he's going to do any harm to me. And that's how I see people. And I think as a people, we need to rise to that level. And once we rise to that level, we then have the trust in each other to have somebody as a leadership. We need to come together and to be supportive of each other. Okay, all these problems when we are in this society, all those problems will always be there. against us. But you should be able to say, in spite of all this, we are here, we are able to do. And as Julia said, we've been through so much. The fact that we are even here as people, existing, thriving, it's a, it's a testament to our, we are incredible people. We are an incredible, God-blessed people. And until that day when we realize we are His people, we are God's chosen people, then, obviously there are people who don't want us to realize that. So they have all these messages, our youngsters, their idea. If you ask them, what is it to be black? I don't think they can tell you. They think it's wearing all these clothes, having this, it's like, you look at some of these leaders they are following, they've got money, But what do they have? They don't have power with that money, because that money is invested in having so many cars, so many women down the road, and it's to their candidates. There's no power behind that. And I look at these people, I've got teenagers, and I'm thinking to myself, obviously they're all straight on going to study medicine and so on, but that's not. But I'm saying sometimes we sit down there, we have discussion and say, look at that guy's got so much money, but there's no power behind it. So few people, almost some part of London, very few people, because they've got that consciousness. And I think that's what we need to work on in our little way, right from home, with our children, as we bring them up, and to say what our priorities are. There was an article, I'll try and go and get it, I think I still have in my email, and I'll come and give you a copy. I more or less kind of put it in a nutshell, how most of us think. Hopefully, I'm sure most of the people here today, and the fact that you are here today, you are not in that mindset. But it's for us to go out there and talk. You are here today, as she was saying, not many people actually pick on what is happening today. They go out there and say, actually, you missed something today. It wasn't food, there wasn't any food, there wasn't dancing or singing. It's something where it's your mind thinking. Something that we, it's our mind that we need to feed, and we need to feed it with positive thing. Positive thing. And then that positive thing, transfers to our children, and when they go out there, they know who they are as a people. It doesn't matter what's happening outside, but they know who they are.